Most of us realize that just ignoring our emotions is not that healthy. If you ignore your anxiety too long, it might start manifesting as insomnia or chronic back pain. If you ignore your anger too long, it might start manifesting as chronic stress or resentment. Instead, it's important to process our emotions in a healthy way so that they don't fester and expand. Unfortunately, there are a lot of myths and misconceptions out there about so-called emotional processing, and they actually can make your emotions more intense and painful and overwhelming. Today, I'm going to share 3 of the biggest misconceptions around emotional processing that I see in my work as a psychologist, plus a handful of practical suggestions for moving through difficult emotions with clarity and confidence. Myth number 1, processing your emotions means understanding them. Way too many people make the mistake of thinking that processing emotions means understanding them intellectually. But analyzing our emotions, trying to understand everything about them, including where they come from and why they're happening now and what they mean about us, this is usually a cover story for a deeper motivation, which is simply we want to make them go away. Understandably, because they're uncomfortable and painful. The trouble is, when your brain sees you doing this, analyzing your emotions in order to get rid of them, it learns that emotions are dangerous because it sees you trying to get rid of them, which only makes those same emotions much bigger and more overwhelming in the long run. Emotional processing is about acceptance, not understanding. Ultimately, processing your emotions in a healthy way means maintaining a good relationship with them, treating them like a friend, which means, yes, listening to them, validating them, but not necessarily always getting into big, long conversations with them or about them anytime they call you up. The trick is to briefly acknowledge and validate your difficult emotions, then move on, away from how you feel or want to feel, and toward your values and what really matters to you. For example, let's say you're getting ready to have a really difficult conversation with your spouse or partner about your finances and money. You're feeling a lot of anxiety about them not reacting well, maybe getting angry or defensive. To process your anxiety well, you don't necessarily need to understand everything about it. Your deepest kind of insecurities about money that go all the way back to when you were a kid and your parents and all that kind of stuff. Instead, just take a second to acknowledge, hey, I'm feeling anxious right now. And then, even though you don't like feeling anxious, validate it by reminding yourself that even though it's uncomfortable and you wish you weren't having it, it's normal and understandable to feel this way. The anxiety itself is not bad. In fact, it's your brain trying to help you. You might even say something like, you know what, I don't like this, but it's normal to feel this way. Other people would feel this way if they were in my shoes too. That's validating. But see, it took, a handful of seconds, not minutes or hours to do. Finally, in the 3rd step, be willing to take action on what matters most to you. Having that important conversation, even though you still feel anxious and you don't totally understand it or why you're feeling that way. When you're willing to have the anxiety, instead of immediately doing something to try to get rid of it, your brain learns that anxiety is safe, which makes it less intense in the long run. This is true for any difficult emotion. The more you avoid it or try to get rid of it, your brain thinks it's dangerous and makes it more intense. On the other hand, the more you accept it and are willing to have it and get on with life, the more your brain learns to relax about those difficult emotions, which in the long run makes them smaller, less intense, and less frequent in the end. Now, if you want a little bit more structure for how to process these difficult emotions in a healthy way, you can download a free guide I put together. It's called the Emotional Processing Toolkit, and it includes just a few of my favorite tools and exercises for managing difficult emotions, things like the AVA method and a list of validation scripts. So you can check that out via the link in the notes. Myth number 2, processing emotions takes a long time. A lot of people have heard the advice that you need to sit with your emotions, and they assume, mistakenly, that this means that you need to be actively thinking about your emotions for an extended period of time. Not true. Sitting with your emotions simply means that you're willing to experience them instead of trying to cope with them or regulate them or eliminate them. It does not mean spending tons of time pondering and thinking about them exclusively. You don't need to have a therapy session with yourself every time you're upset. Now, occasionally, it can be helpful to spend longer stretches of time thinking about and even analyzing your emotions. But the vast majority of the time, healthy emotional processing is incredibly brief. Like we described in the previous point, simply acknowledge and validate the emotion, then refocus onto what's most meaningful or important to you in that moment. Still, this raises the question of, even if it's not often, how do I know if I need to do deeper or longer forms of emotional processing? What I'll say is, a good rule of thumb is that if a strong emotion is a part of a larger pattern of consistent and intense emotionality, that suggests there's something more complex that needs to be addressed and worked through. For example, let's say you have some social anxiety. You tend to get anxious anytime you have to speak in public or meet new people, for instance. This pattern suggests that there's something deeper going on that you need to look at or address. But even that doesn't imply necessarily that you need years of therapy exploring your sort of childhood problems and how that contributes to your anxiety, or that you need to be on medication for the rest of your life. Not necessarily at all. Instead, what it probably means is that you need to change the way you relate to your anxiety, the way you respond to it. Most major anxiety issues, for instance, are ultimately caused not by the events of our past, but by the habits in our present. Specifically, the way we respond to anxiety when we respond to it as if it's a threat by trying to get rid of it or avoid it. That teaches our brain that anxiety is bad, and then we get anxious about being anxious, which of course just makes us way more anxious. This is called compound anxiety. And this is true for any kind of emotional response. When you get angry, but then you try to avoid it or get rid of it, that teaches your brain that being angry is bad. So now you're going to be anxious about being angry, which is going to make you way more anxious and angry than you would have been initially. The solution is to build a better relationship with our difficult emotions like anger and anxiety by accepting them and validating them, but moving on with our life instead of getting caught up with and lost in them. And how do we do that? Remember the AVA method thing that I mentioned earlier as part of my emotional processing toolkit? Well, AVA is just an acronym that stands for the 3 basic steps of healthy emotional processing. A stands for acknowledge your emotions clearly. I'm feeling anxious right now and maybe a little bit angry. V stands for validate them compassionately. I don't like feeling anxious, but it's not surprising that I feel anxious right now. It's understandable. Other people would feel like this too in my situation. A, act on your values courageously. So instead of our behavior being motivated by how we feel or how we want to feel, we want our values to guide our behavior. What's really meaningful or important to us in this moment? The point of all this is that while chronic or intense emotional struggles might well require more processing, that doesn't necessarily mean that the processing itself should be long and drawn out. It means you need to build the habit of brief, healthy emotional processing and get better at applying it consistently. And again, this little framework I have, the AVA method, there's nothing special about it. It's just a way I've found to package and make easier to remember the core principles behind processing your emotions in a healthy way and fostering a healthy relationship with them. We're aware of them, we're compassionate toward them, but we don't let them dictate our behavior. That's what values are for. Myth number 3, processing your emotions well means feeling better. This is a really subtle trap that a lot of people fall into when it comes to emotional processing. And it's completely normal and understandable. Like, we've all been here on this one. Because feeling bad, anxious, irritable, ashamed, depressed, whatever, you desperately want to feel better. And now, nothing could be more natural than that instinct. The problem is that just like with a lot of things in life, short-term relief often comes at the expense of long-term happiness and well-being. So, a silly example, eating a whole bag of potato chips. It might temporarily alleviate your hunger or stress in the moment, but the long-term consequences to your health, not to mention your self-esteem, probably aren't worth it. Similarly, when you have a short-term mindset around painful emotions that's focused exclusively on immediate relief, that often comes at the cost of feeling a lot worse later on. Like I described earlier, trying to avoid or fix painful emotions in the moment, that teaches your brain to see those emotions as threats. So even if you get some relief in the moment, it's going to make them more intense and longer lasting in the long run. If you feel sad, for instance, but immediately try and distract yourself from sadness or try to regulate it away with a coping skill, you are teaching your brain to fear sadness, that sadness is not okay. And that's only going to make the sadness more intense and frequent in the long run. So the implication of all this is simple, but counterintuitive. If you want to feel better in the long run, you need to be willing to feel bad in the short term. Because building a healthy relationship with your emotions, that means genuinely welcoming them and tolerating them instead of immediately trying to get rid of them or avoid them. To do that, though, you have to be willing to be uncomfortable for a little while. It's the only way to teach your brain that emotions are safe, which in the long run is how you lower both their intensity and frequency. You will always feel difficult emotions like anger and anxiety. There is no way to get rid of them, but they don't have to be huge and overwhelming. And the most important thing that determines whether they are or whether they stay manageable is your relationship with them. How do you respond to them? If you keep trying to get rid of them, they're going to get more and more intense. But if you slowly practice welcoming them and being willing to have them, they will get less and less intense. Here's an analogy that I like that I think might help. Suppose you get a gym membership because you want to get stronger and more fit. If you went to the gym every day and only did exercises that made you feel comfortable and relaxed in the moment, would you build much strength? Probably not. To build strength requires temporary discomfort, even a little bit of pain maybe. So walking out of the gym feeling a little sore is actually a good thing. It means your muscles are growing and that you're getting stronger. And when you think about healthy emotional processing, feeling complete relief is actually not a good sign. Instead, you want to feel a little emotionally sore, the kind of good soreness that comes from growth and doing what's good for us in the long run. Okay, let's sum up everything we've talked about. The three big emotional processing myths are, number one, processing your emotions means understanding them. Emotional processing is about acceptance, not understanding. The goal is to build a healthy relationship with them, not to understand or eliminate them. Myth number two, processing your emotions takes a long time. The vast majority of the time, emotional processing should be brief. It's much more important to process your emotions consistently and briefly than inconsistently and extensively. And myth number three, processing your emotions means feeling better. In the long run, yes, but in the short term, you should actually expect to feel more uncomfortable as you work on accepting rather than regulating your feelings. Finally, there's a simple framework that I've come up with for processing your emotions well. It's called the AVA method, which is just a reminder to acknowledge and validate your emotions and then act on your values. You can download a guide with step-by-step instructions on how to do the AVA method in my emotional processing toolkit, which I've linked to in the notes. Okay, I know a lot of this might sound pretty counterintuitive and even contrary to the way you've thought about or been told to think about emotional processing, but if nothing else, I think it's worth reflecting on. If you want to go deeper on healthy emotional processing, I'm teaching a workshop called Emotional Resilience Essentials. It's sort of a deep dive into using the AVA method specifically as a framework to develop emotional resilience. If you're interested in that, check out my membership program, The Friendly Mind School, which I will link to in the notes. Lastly, if you enjoyed this video, here's another one I think you'll really like.